Well, hey there, everybody. I'm finally doing another Foundations in Magic video here. I wanted to spend some time today talking about, I gotta see if a candle's gonna start dripping on my cloth here. I don't think so, but anyway, I wanted to spend a little bit of time here talking about ritual oils and how we use them in magic. Um, generally speaking, they can either be anoint, you can either anoint a candle with them or you can anoint yourself with them. You're gonna have to be really careful though if you're anointing yourself because you definitely would, I would definitely recommend using a carrier oil, to drop them in a carrier oil and then using it to anoint yourself with, but be sure to test a sensitive spot to see if you're going to have a reaction, and then follow all. I would do research before you use any of them on your skin just to make sure that there's not some kind of a reason not to. I know that there are some that you shouldn't, but I'm not versed enough as an herbalist in the use of them. It's not my focus, and so I can't really recommend that any of these be used on your person. So check it out first before you do that. I just usually use them. There are a couple I do use, but I'm not going to talk about that. But otherwise, I just use them to anoint candles. And then after doing so, I either roll them in herbs. If I'm doing some herb magic as well, then I'll do that. Otherwise, I just select, I know what I'm wanting to do, and then I just select the oils, the essential oils to use when I'm creating another type of ritual oil. Now, you can use individual oils for that, but again, I still would use them in a carrier oil. And what do we mean by a carrier oil? A carrier oil is just the oil that you're using as the base. Okay, for whatever you're using. It's a term used in herbalism. It's also a term used in ritual oil blending. And so two that I use a lot of are either almond oil or grapeseed oil. They're a nice light type of an oil. They're not as heavy as, say, hemp oil is, or unless it's not that I haven't used hemp oil. I have in earth element types of magic, where I just like it. It's just an interesting oil to use, but I don't use it as a rule. Mostly when I'm making these, I'm making them with either almond oil or grapeseed oil. Now, when I'm talking about that, what am I talking about? Well, here we have a goddess oil, Mother Goddess oil. And this one you would just take and get some on your finger and then anoint your candle, however you wanted to do it. Let's see, I'm going to wipe my finger off there. I don't want to do that yet. So Mother Goddess oil would be 5 drops of rose essential oil, 1 of jasmine, 1 of lemon, and 1 of cypress. So I'll say that again, 5 drops of rose, and any kind of rose, whether it's rose geranium or what have you, or any substitutions for rose. Any flower essential oil can be substituted for rose. Pure essential rose oil is very expensive, and so I don't use it. I really don't see any reason to. I generally substitute with neroli or lang lang or maybe rose geranium is a real simple one to substitute with. So that's what I use for that. You can also do ritual oils that are elemental, like elemental air, fire, water, and earth. Like I said, you can do one for earth using hemp oil, or you can do a blend. Elemental air. Now this one I did in probably I don't know which one I did it in actually, but this one would be 6 drops of lavender, 4 of lemongrass, and 1 of peppermint. To say, I would just start out with 1/8 of a cup because here I'm using really small vials, okay, and so you really don't need any more than that. It's not going to fit anyway, and so I would just use 1/8 of a cup of whichever oil you want to use. Apricot seed oil is another nice one, although I tend to use that for skin stuff. I don't usually use it for this. Usually, again, almond oil or grapeseed oil. Both are readily available. Grapeseed at your grocery store, so I would just use that. Purification oil, did I have? Oh, I did here. Now, purification oil, I use 3 drops of musk, 3 of myrrh, and one of frankincense. And the musk I had some years ago, okay, when I was in high school in the 70s and in college in the 70s. All the women wore musk. My mother wore it. We all wore it. You just got it in these little vials, and that's what you did. You dabbed it on your wrists, maybe behind your ears, and you wore musk perfume. Well, that's what I still had some, so that's what I used when I made this. But basically, it's just purification oil, ritual oil, and again, you can use it in purification spells. And we'll go over that. We'll go over how to anoint a candle. And, look, people are going to do this differently, but this is just how I do it. It's kind of the general way a lot of people do it. I have no idea. There could be other ways, but I really think it matters about your intention. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So I might actually do it differently than other people do, but I don't think so. I really don't. This is an astral travel one that you can do. And with that one now, I use 2 drops each of frankincense, myrrh, cypress, and jasmine. I love jasmine. I love cypress too. Cypress is just lovely. It really is. It's a lovely oil. And then the other thing you can do is you don't have to put lids. You can put droppers if you like. If you don't want to touch the oil, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't want to, then you can always just, drip it on, and you're still going to have to move it around though on the candle when you're anointing it. So I don't know. If you're worried about it, wear gloves. I don't know. I'm not worried about it, but you might be. That's fine. If you're concerned about, but again, you're talking drops in other oils. So I don't know. Your fingers should be fine. But if you have any concerns at all, just wear surgical gloves and then take them off when you get ready to do the rest. You can also, I have some Yule Sabbath oil and some Samhain oil. You can make those too. I don't know what I've done with those recipes, so I don't have them in here in my grimoire. But basically that's where I'm getting all this is out of my grimoire. And then of course there's Hecate oil, which, I'm going to use to anoint this black candle in a minute here. But basically, let's talk about directionality in terms of anointing. Most of the time, if you're going to anoint a candle, you've probably also scribed something on it, okay? You're going to, scribe a rune or a bind rune or something like that, depending on your purpose. Maybe you might just have some kind of sigil that you like, some planetary sigil, although those are a little bit complicated. But there might be some goddess sigils that you were able to maybe use a straight pin or something to just kind of scribe on there, or some kind of, maybe a pen that doesn't have any ink left in it, so you're not introducing that kind of ink into it as well. But just something that you can get to scribe something with. Some people like X-Acto knives, but I think that's just, I don't know. I would, I'd lose a digit or something. So I don't know. I'm not going to do that. But anyway, you can do that first. And then what I do is if I've done a sigil, I'll anoint the sigil first. Okay. And if I'm doing something where I want to draw something to me, or if I want to bring spirit into it, I'm going to go upwards. I'm going to start in the middle and I'm going to anoint upwards. If I want to focus something into the ego or the earthly element or whatever, then I might go downward. I would start in the middle and I would go downward. But if I'm wanting to draw spirit into it, I'm going to go upward. Okay. Now, if I were to well, actually, you could go top down and bottom to center, not down that way. I'm sorry. I did that all totally wrong. So anyway, you can go upward to spirit, downward to form. You can also draw things to you by going down to the center and up to the center, right? Or if you were going to banish, okay, then you would definitely go, what I would do for banishing is I would start at the bottom and go all the way up. I would just do the whole thing, like get out of here. Okay. Now, other people do it differently. All right. Other people do that differently. I think that really it's how you see it in the moment. Because I know sometimes banishing would be like center downward or center upward instead of top to center, bottom to center. It would be center downward or center upwards. But that doesn't feel right to me. And so what I do is I just go to the bottom. If I'm going to use it to banish, I go right up over the top. I do the whole thing. All right. That's how I do it. But again, it's just how I see it. All right. So what I would do if I was going to use, now, a note about the candle colors, you can use whatever color corresponds with whatever, the idea of your working. So pink for love, green for money, whatever, yellow for communication, purple for communication. It doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want to. You can also use a white candle. White will substitute for anything. But what I do, since I interact with the goddess, I use a black candle. And I use a black candle for everything. I have other candles, and it's not that I can't use them. Let's see, I don't have that one in here. That one working I did. I think I've already taken it out to the other room. But this one, I just find working with the goddess, when you're working with goddess energies, particularly Hecate, then I like to use black. The goddess is really about the feminine, the divine feminine principle. So you're looking at the receptive presence. And so you would be looking at dark versus light. Okay. And so, it's not that we're talking about the dark goddess or anything like that. It's just the side of the equation that she falls on. Okay. So I just like to use it. It's just my own preference. So what we would do then, we would take and I would use my left hand. Some people say, oh, use your dominant hand. I don't. Not when I'm invoking the goddess. And I would just go ahead and put some on my finger. And if I was banishing something, I would go all the way up. And if I would likely use a chant with every stroke, similar to like chord magic or something like you're doing by the knot of one, the spell's begun, all of that stuff. You could do the same sort of thing when you're anointing a candle. Okay. And so that's really all we're talking about. If I had drawn and inscribed, I would have inscribed, some kind of bind rune or what have you to banish, or to bind or whatever. And then I would have done that first, that one section, and then I would have done the rest of it. And that's what it is to anoint. Now, if I wanted to, and I'll just go ahead and I'll do it here to show you what it looks like. If you wanted to roll it in herb, you could do that. And then you'd have a candle that looks like this. It would have more than this on it, though. I didn't put that much on the table. And then you could burn it and do your spell. Just do your working. So it's really, really simple. Let's just go over really quickly. And I'm taking this all from Witch Notes, which is one of the more recent books I published. It's kind of a little... Well, it's just a cheat sheet, basically. It has spell casting reminders in it. It has herbs. It has herb magic, different kind of magic in it. But it's just like little reminders. If you ever were working on computers in the 90s, they used to have these little cheat booklets you could buy. And so I'm looking, through because my grimoire is not in order. Seriously, it is so out of order. It's ridiculous. And so, and I don't really know any witches who isn't. And so, I just decided, what if I had one of those? So I put one together. It's called Witch Notes. You can get it in paperback. You can get it on Kindle, but it's really cool. I love it. I use it all the time. I use it more than my grimoire, frankly, because I can just go there and I have it on my iPad and it's lit up. I can see it because in this lighting, I had to scan it, put it into like a booklet for myself and do a PDF and then I'll have it there. But that's kind of what I did here with Witch Notes. And so in any event, anise, we're going to talk about essential oils now. Anise essential oil is used for clarity, love, prosperity, leadership, wealth, justice, and understanding. Bay, which is like bay leaf or bay laurel, protection, banishing, purification, wealth, success, and illumination. We've got carnation, which is a lovely flower one to use. It's very nice. Love, healing, it amplifies any working. Cedar, peace, protection, spirituality, and alignment. Cinnamon, another protection oil. Psychic awareness also, and also healing. Clary sage. I like clary sage. I grow some clary sage, actually. It's really a beautiful plant. I don't even know that it's a real sage, but its leaves are this silvery green, and it has the coolest lavender and white flowers. I love it. So if you can grow some clary sage, just to do it, I recommend it. It's a beautiful plant, and it comes back every year. But it's good for vision, clarity, and trance work. Oh, I forgot to show you that little candle. I'll do that here before we close out, though. Coriander is great to use for healing. Eucalyptus also for healing and purification. Frankincense, all around. You can use this, that and myrrh and copal, as a copal resin, any of that can be substituted for one another. But in terms of the essential oil, we're talking blessings, protection, love, and consecration. So if you have to consecrate something, frankincense oil, essential oil can be used. But again, drop some in a little bit of a carry oil, just to carry your oil. I won't slur it there. And you can, that way you're not going to hurt yourself if you put it on your skin directly. Geranium, calm and healing. Ginger, sexuality and financial gain. Grapefruit for purification. Jasmine, love, sexuality, marriage, sleep, trance work. Juniper oil, protection, exorcism, and love. So juniper would be one you could use here along with the Hecate oil. In fact, I might even have juniper in it. I think I did. But you can use that for banishing and whatnot as well, and binding, cursing, all of that you can use juniper for. Lavender, great all around one, like spearmint is, like eucalyptus is as well. And frankincense and myrrh, great all around oils to use. But lavender would be peace, healing, love, and cleansing. Lilac, which is also nice. Oh my gosh. That's good for trance work and magical workings, dealing with harmony, establishing harmony or preserving harmony. Lemon or lemongrass for clarity, love, and cleansing. Musk for courage, fertility, and sexuality. Myrrh, again, same as frankincense, only it's a sacred oil, sacred anointing oil. It's used for protection, strength, and healing. Neroli is for love and attraction. Neroli's yummy. I mean, it's just neroli oil. Is this the neroli? No, that's the lang lang. Neroli, this might be neroli here. Yeah, this is so cool. I love that stuff. Mostly because it can be substituted, and I'll go over that really quickly too before we close out here. Orange, emotional balance and relationships. Peppermint, clarity, stimulates energy. Spearmint is the same, although it's not quite as powerful or intense. So maybe a little more calming type of a flowing type of an energy there to support that. Pine, protection, exorcism, cleansing negative energies, just like juniper. Pine is great for that. Rose, again, you can substitute it, but for love, attraction, healing, balance. Rosemary, protection, healing, clarity, and memory. Just smelling rosemary is said to increase clarity and memory. Sandalwood is another all-around oil to use. Spirituality, healing, clarity, trance work. It combines well with other oils and incenses. So whether you're using this as an oil or as an incense, a powdered incense, sandalwood is one that I use when I'm making incense, my own type of herbal incense. I use sandalwood, powdered sandalwood, as the primary base for it, and then I add other things to it, but sandalwood would be the basic one I would use. Tangerine balances and brings calm, and oh yes, it does. Vetiver is protection. Vervain, clarity, alignment with spirit. That's a sacred druid plant, vervain. Blue vervain is. I grow some out over in my yard area, over in the gazebo area. I love it. It has these tiny blue flowers, and it's just delightful. Sometimes I'll use it. I'll gather what I can because they don't like grow all of them at the same time. You'll just have a few flowers here and there. At least on mine they do. Maybe it's where I'm growing them. I don't know. But I'm very careful how much I take off, and then I'll use them fresh in workings during the summertime. Let's see. And then Lang Lang, love, attraction, soothes conflict between partners. So if you had a spell or working where you're having conflict with a partner, that would be the oil to use to anoint your candle with, if you're going to use candle magic. If you're not, if it's more of an herb magic base, then I did this once before in another thing I did. Let me see if I can get this to light without. I think maybe I can. Yeah. If you were to use a votive candle, and you know, they come in different colors. You can use different colors. I like to use black. I always get them at Halloween. I buy out the store. Well, I just blew this thing out. Well, anyway, what you can do is you can put your herbs in it and you can let them melt down. You can just sprinkle them on top, light the candle. You've already got your oils also dribbled onto it. And with that, see, you could just use the straight oil itself, all right? Not in terms of a carrier, although you could, but you could just sort of drip a little if you're doing it on top of a candle. And I actually recommend, if you're going to use this kind, I recommend the votive kind versus this. I think these are just easier to work with, and you know, no muss, no fuss, basically. And then you can use the other candle for something else later on. But just know that you can do that. Now, lastly, I wanted to tell you what the substitutions are. We'll just go through some of them. I don't know that we necessarily have to go through all of them. Where is my piece of paper here? Oh, it's up on the deal. All right. Well, here I have it, and let me get a candle over here so I can see a little bit better. All right. Now, rosemary you can use rosemary to substitute for anything. And anything can be substituted for rosemary. Any flower can be used for rose. Anything, let's see, frankincense and copal can be used as a substitution for anything and for each other. Acacia, which can be gum arabic, can be used in place of acacia. Frankincense, gum mastic also can be used in place of gum arabic. Some of this stuff is stuff you use when you're making incense. The gums work really well. Let's see, bay. Let's see, I don't have anything on bay. Camphor oil, eucalyptus or lavender could substitute for camphor oil. Camphor oil is weird. It comes in a little cube thing, so it's solid. At least the stuff I got is. Cinnamon can replace cassia if you don't have it. Sandalwood can replace cedar if you don't have it. If you don't have any cinquefoil, then clover or trefoil can be used. Let's see. Just as a side note, if you need graveyard dirt, powdered mullein leaf can be used. If you don't have any graveyard dirt, you can use powdered mullein leaf. I've used that. Clover, cinquefoil can be used to substitute for clover, or vice versa. Frankincense and cedar can be substitutes for copal. Gum mastic for dittany of Crete. Let's see, equal parts frankincense and red sandalwood can be used in place of dragon's blood, although take the time to get the dragon's blood. Camphor and lavender for eucalyptus. Let's see, I already said that. Nettle and tobacco can be used for hellebore. I had a hellebore on my deck. I don't know what happened to it. It just didn't grow here. Lavender can be substituted for hyssop. Cinquefoil for ivy. Rose for jasmine and vice versa. Pine for juniper. If you don't have I have juniper everywhere. I live in Central Oregon. We have juniper everywhere. And I had to put in my own pines because we live if we lived up higher, if we lived about 15, 20 minutes away, we'd have pine. So we actually had to put in pine so I can have my my pine needles and my resin. So anyway, let's see. Lemon peel can be substituted for lemongrass. Again, lemongrass or lemon peel for lemon verbena. And verbena is another name for vervain, only not the type of vervain I'm talking about before. Nutmeg can be used for mace, sage for mint. Mint and sage can be used for mistletoe. Wormwood can be substituted for mugwort. I grow both, so you know. Oh, and wormwood, if you make it in an oil, if you did it like in grapeseed, or if you really wanted to be medicinal, you could do a soak in of wormwood in some olive oil. Now that my husband loves that. I also do a liniment with it because sometimes he doesn't, and I don't always like the oil. And the liniment, you know, if you just use isopropyl alcohol, I mean, at least, you know, I would probably use at least 70%, the 99% if you're using fresh, and then you can dilute it, right? But you can take it then and just put it on your sore muscles and joints and all of that. Wormwood is awesome for that. And either way, you know, whether you're using it as a liniment or you're using it as an oil, it's just great for strained muscles and arthritis and all of that. So we both use it, and again, he likes the oil, but sometimes he likes the liniment. I prefer the liniment, so you know, it just is what it is there. Whatever you like to do. Let's see. Oh, spearmint and peppermint can be, you know, substituted for one another, but just remember the peppermint's going to be a lot stronger. Rosemary can be substituted for thyme, and bay can be substituted for tobacco. So if you don't smoke, we don't smoke, so I don't have any tobacco in the house. So I just use bay. I just crush up some bay leaf, dried bay leaf. But I guess that's it as far as that goes. Oh, what did I drop? Oh, I dropped a card. I was just using it as a marker. So anyhow, I guess that's it. You know, you can be as creative as you want to be. You can make your own oils. There's lots of recipes online. You know, I think I have some on the website over at Stepping Aside. But, you know, just grab whatever you want and make up your oils and alter it if you want to. Again, a lot of it is your intention. You know, you're going to get to know these herbs and oils so well that you're just going to instinctively know, if you don't already, what's going to work well together and the kinds of things you're going to be looking for. You're going to know what a fire herb is, or a fire, you know, and then the subsequent oil, or what an herb or a plant of elemental air is. And so, you know, if you're talking about things that are communicative, or, you know, your communication or interactions or whatever, you know, or justice or anything to do with the air element, then you're going to be choosing essential oils that reflect that. If you were, you know, wanting to do something to have grounding, you know, then you would look at the type of earth-oriented herbs and oils and whatnot, and then you could combine them together, just a few drops of each. If you wanted to have one have a little more heavier weight than the others, you would use more drops there. You know, say 4 drops versus 2, or 5 drops versus 1, something like that. So you will know ultimately how to create these yourself. And then, you know, pretty soon you're going to have all this stuff. You're going to be, oh my God, there's just redundancy everywhere. So anyway, that's it, I guess. You know, again, if you want to check out Witch Notes, it's available on Amazon in Kindle or paperback format. If you want to do that, that'd be awesome. But otherwise, you know, just do your own investigation. You know, if you've already got your own grimoire working there for you, and I'm sure you have this stuff in there. But hopefully I've just been able to give you my perspective on this. Again, I think that a lot of this stuff is about aligning energies together just to shore up whatever it is we're doing, to influence a better outcome for it, I suppose you could say. But that said, let's light our candle, and there we have. Oops, I'm starting to fall off. Ah. But there we have the candle for the spell, all anointed, all ready to go. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll get together another time soon about something else. I said I was going to do something on the geomancy stuff, and I'm still going to do that, so maybe we'll do that one next. Anyhow, thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself, be good to one another. Happy magic, and blessed be.